Hey guys, I'm Audie and this is the long-awaited Liam Ultimate build for Sevagoth. Timestamps will be available for all the sections in the description. Before we get into the build, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of Sevagoth. Therefore, this build is not meant for new players or anyone thinking Triple Umbra Adaptation is a top build on any frame. This requires 3 Tau Forged Red Shards for ability strength and 2 yellow for energy orb effectiveness. There is a lot to explain here and we're going to go at breakneck speeds, so buckle up, pause and rewind the video. If you don't understand, tune into Twitch streams or leave a comment under the video and we will swiftly respond. First things first, we need to learn the 3 fundamental things that make this build so effective to play. Starting with Reap, when you cast it, it sends out a shadow that will pathfind through the map. When enemies come in direct contact with the shadow's non-light of sight AoE that also scales off of range, the shadow will deal a pathetic 250 radiation damage. But most importantly, it applies a debuff that increases all enemy damage taken by 50%, which will come in handy later. Pro tip, if you hold down the button for Reap, the shadow gets a speed boost. On to Sow. When cast, it primes enemies in a non-line of sight AoE that also scales off of range, applying yet again a pathetic 250 true damage, this time per second for 10 seconds. While both of these abilities by themselves are quite underwhelming, when put together is where they really shine. When enemies primed by our Sow are directly hit by our Reap, they are dealt 25% of their current health as true damage that goes through armor. Additionally, they detonate in a 4-meter AoE that doesn't scale with range, killing 25% of their current health as blast damage that doesn't go through armor. The goal of this build is to deal 100% of the enemy's current HP to them as true damage, so no matter their level or how lonely they are, they will die. Okay, so Reap and Sow together deal 25% damage. How do we reach the 100% damage dealt? The answer is Rhino Roar and 255% minimum ability strength. Why 255? Remember earlier when I talked about the Reap having a debuff effect? Well, that debuff is similar to Rhino Roar. Reap's base damage vulnerability debuff is 50%, while Rhino's buff is 30%. These multiply each other. Getting to 255% strength gives us just enough to deal 100% of the enemy current HP as damage when casting Sow and Reap together. Here's the math. Knowing all this, the rotation is as follows. As long as you have a Reap cast after the Sow, you're good to go. So first, cast Roar. You cast Sow, then you cast Reap. If they're still alive, you can cast Reap until they die. If you see they don't have Sow on, then you Sow. I can't make it less unga bunga than this. If after Sow and Reap they don't die, your Roar buff expired, cast it again. Look out for Invigorations. 100% range bonus for Sevagoth is so much fun. And one last thing before we get into the build. If you're going into Fissures, we recommend you remove your primary and secondary so you can get the higher chance to get the frame corrupted. With double range and strength, it gets especially fun in a long cascade Fissure runs, where you kill so many enemies your teammates won't see any of them. Moving on to the Warframe build. Refresh Spray for shield gating, 255% strength from Transient Fortitude, Umbral Intensify Power Drift, and a fully stacked Mold Augmented Arcane. Stretch and Overextended for range, Streamline, Prime Flow, and Arcane Energize for energy management, and the last 2 slots are for the augments we need, Dark Propagation and Shadow Haze. We don't really care about the crit this gives. The augment is used for the ability to spawn another shadow with a limit of 3. Every 1 capacity left unused on your Warframe, you gain 5 starting energy, so you want to form out every slot to keep the energy pad consumption low. For the primary build, any weapon of your choice, you just need to run a Mold Inspiration for the sprint speed, and as far as arcanes go, primary dexterity will be used for the extra melee combo duration. We can however recommend the Miter. Due to its neutralizing justice specific mod, this will allow us to pop those pesky nullifier bubbles if need be. For the secondary build, as per usual, anything goes, as long as you have secondary dexterity as an arcane and and Amalgam Barrel Diffusion. The melee's purpose is to kill acolytes with heavy attack. While solo you can one-shot them, however in a full party that won't be the case. While you can take any melee you want, our choice is Praedos for Evolution 2 Drifting Grace, which grants sprint speed 20%, and Evolution 4 Evolved Ascension for parkour velocity 30%. In the Exilus slot, we use the Focused Defense to increase the auto block angle, Prime Pressure Point and Killing Blow for base damage, Killing Blow and Amalgam Organ Shatter for heavy attack windup, Primed Fury for heavy attack recovery, Sacrificial Steel and Gladiator Might for crit chance on heavy attacks, Amalgam Organ Shatter and Gladiator Might for crit damage, Prime Fever Strike for elemental damage, and Corrupt Charge for initial combo. The arcane we use is Melee Exposure, which grants corrosive on the melee weapon when using abilities, so it fits this ability spammy build. The pet build is a channel classic of Opophyla. Last but not least, how do we survive? First of all, we will kill them before they kill you, shield gating, Martyr Symbiosis from the pet, and the Sevagoth passive that allows us to revive if we dash through 5 normal enemies. Which brings us to the last build in the video. The Sevagoth Shadow doesn't need Forma and it's not even worth to Forma. We're running Steel Charge to get the most capacity out of the aura slot, normal sure-footed so you don't get knocked down, Prime Redirection, Prime Vigor and Augura Core for shield capacity, Fortitude, Fast Deflection and Vigilante Vigor for shield recharge, Fast Deflection and Vigilante Vigor being used for the shield recharge delay as well, and lastly Rolling Guard to make you immune for 3 seconds. The last slot doesn't matter, therefore it's empty. The only arcane we need is Arcane Aegis. Second slot is your pick. Now Liam does take Arcane Warmth because the slow from the cold status effects from the Eximus is a pain in the ass. For the focus cool, you want to go for Magirai for Cascade as always and Xeneric for normal missions. On to the FAQ. Why such short duration? The Pathfind of the Shadows gets them stuck frequently, so you don't want them to just try and kill a corner. Also, the augment that spawns shadows can't spawn shadows until the previous ones have disappeared. So unfortunately, unless we had something similar to Precision Intensify but for duration, there's nothing we can do. Speaking of, why not Precision Intensify? Simple answer is, it's worse. If you do the math, it requires more power strength and it's less slot efficient. Why not Equilibrium? Equilibrium doesn't lower the cost of our abilities, therefore we can make less mistakes per full energy bar, and it ends up being less energy efficient as a slot than Streamline. Also, since we are not picking up health orbs, they are left at the ground so we can revive our pet, increasing our survivability. Why no Prime Sure-Footed on the Warframe? This is not a melee build. You're not meant to get close to the enemies. You should nuke from afar.
Oh, touchy.
If you're in trouble, just roll. Some enemies are still not dying. Well, true damage doesn't bypass damage reduction or damage attenuation, just armor. Why no Viral Quills on the pet? It doesn't spread fast enough. The pet will barely have a chance to see an enemy. We are literally killing through walls rooms apart, which is the same issue with our next question. Why not use Huras, aka the invisibility pet? There needs to be an enemy within 24 meters of you for the pet to keep you invisible. In short, there won't be any. What happens if you don't have the shards? Well, you can leave a bad review on Steam, send a ticket to customer support demanding your cow shards, or you just take overextended out and add Augur Reach, and instead of flow, you add Equilibrium. This will result in a worse build overall, but you can still use it. Copium. Why am I running out of energy? You are using your first ability too much, so relax. Use your abilities when you need to, or just use a pad, you cheap fuck. Why do 100% current HP as damage and not use the 4-meter AoE to kill enemies? Everybody deserves a fast despawn, even the lonely ones. Jokes aside, that's the reason. Enemies need to be packed within 4 meters of each other in order to die. Are these videos made with a voice changer? Why do you sound like a dude on streams? I can't believe that I need to say this, but at the beginning of every video I do say, Audie here, presenting Liam's build. For those that still don't get it, it's a two-people show here. I was a Warframe content creator myself, and hey, I even have a glyph in Warframe if you want it. I do the editing, voiceovers, generally the YouTube part, while Liam is taking care of the builds and he's doing the streams, which you can sometimes catch me streaming on his channel as well. And that's it. Sub, like, comment, and join the Discord, and tune in to catch Liam live.